Oh, hey, everybody. Know you were thinking of a video today, but I was just sitting here, just taking notes on everything everyone did to wrong me this week. Oh, shoot, the topic was love does not take a record of wrongs. Shoot. All right, well, I guess we better dive right in. Welcome back, everybody. My name is AP Raleigh, author of Abide, and I make Christian content to help both you and me grow in our walk with Christ together. So we are jumping into this really weird thing at the end of 1 Corinthians 13:5, where it talks about love not keeping a record of wrongs. That doesn't keep a record of evil, and you're like, man, what is going on there? And well, it's not the way that we like to use, because I think this could easily be titled Welcome to Christian Gaslighting. This is like one of the pieces of scripture that is so easy to misinterpret, say wrong, do wrong, etc. And funny enough, the only times where it's mildly done right is actually weddings, which this verse is solidly intense. The more I go into this whole what is love thing, it is Paul just being like, let's go. It's not this like beautiful, like, it's patient and it's kind and it's lovely. I'm like, no, this is like really intense. This is the things that we are trying to do when we're trying to love others is so intense. And this one, I see like marriages start off and they're like, yeah, we should not, be trying to bring up all these nasty past issues and just go at each other because, hey, in the last fight we had, you did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that is so awesome. How is it that is the only time people seem to get that? And then like 3 years down the road, that is out the window. I don't know what happens there, but this is a really important thing. Especially when it comes to love, because it doesn't mean that people aren't held accountable. It doesn't mean that we are not supposed to be wise, that we're supposed to just let people walk all over us, that we're supposed to, oh no, they did something bad, but, I'm not keeping any record of the wrong that they've done. So, I'm just gonna let that slide and let that go. And that's not what this is talking about. And it's very easy to weaponize that way. It's very, very easy. So, what are we really talking about here? Well, I think the translation that says it the best says that love is not resentful. And I really like that because this whole verbiage is so confusing when it's talking about this record of wrongs or this wrongdoing. What is it going into? There's two different words it's talking about. That whole the wrongs it's talking about, the evil or the whatever translation you're looking at, that second portion there, that is literally this word that's talking about rot in a tree. That's already there. You're just observing tree rot. It exists. And so this is useless. That's really what it's saying, is like you're looking at it being like, yep, worthless. The other half of that is this record. And the word reckon is awesome for those of you who also had to look up what in the heck reckon means, because it is not an everyday usage word, but it works super well here. It's like an accounting term that's just talking about counting. Like we're counting it all up. So when you stick this all together, you get, I am going back and I am counting up everything bad that you've ever done. And I am coming to a logical conclusion that you are a piece of human garbage. That's very obviously not loving. Let's stop right there. But what that's not doing is saying, I'm tallying up everything, and this is just something that needs to happen for safety, or this isn't saying like, no, they're abusive, so just let them continue doing that. In fact, we know that because in Corinthians, he's literally telling them all this stuff about like, hey, stop hanging out at the drinking parties. And if there's somebody coming to church that's just, absolutely drunk off their tail, maybe we don't hang out. It's a little more aggressive than that. They were dealing with like some really, really serious problems and some really nasty stuff in the church. The book is not exactly PG. They're talking about kicking a guy out that is uh, what is the nice way of saying he is with his mother. It's a nasty book. Like it's going into all this, and it's talking about not keeping a record of wrongs next to that. And so I'm trying to think, man, how does that work? And I really love the fact that in the end of Corinthians, when he's talking, he goes into the fact that, like, some of you were X, Y, and Z as well. You used to be this. Don't associate with that. You used to be that. And it really gets to me the fact that while he's condemning something, he's also accepting the people that used to do that and don't do it anymore. And there's where we get what we're looking at. This is taking a record and saying, this is who you are permanently. So I'm looking back at every way you've hurt me, everything you've ever done, and I am just going to, going forward, say, this is the only person you could ever be. And I am going to judge you based on that forever. There's no forgiveness involved. There's no reacceptance. There's no, oh, hey, the pastor at the church had an affair, but then he, went and figured out what was going on, dealt with some major life circumstances, and so we accepted him back in the community with love. Yeah, I've never heard that one before, ever. When does that happen? Because it's just, oh, whoa, 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 you did it once, you are going to do it again. And there's this forever condemnation that comes with it. And that is what we're trying to avoid. This is not, well, hey, they hit me 6 times already. I won't keep a record of that. They're not going to hit me again. And then they do. That's a safety issue that is happening currently in the moment. That's not taking into account and deciding that someone is a rotten tree, that someone is a literal piece of human garbage, as I've said. That is understanding that we are in a safety issue that needs to be dealt with. But it's also very important to understand this is specifically hitting on the fact that this is a logical decision. And that to me is huge, especially with how much Paul does with Greek culture and all this stuff, that this is a very separated dichotomy of emotion and logic. And he is specifically using these terms that are going after a logical conclusion that this person is worthless. If we want to be loving, that is not something that we get to do. This doesn't mean that if an employee is bad at their job, they can't be fired. Because, hey, you're a Christian and you're not supposed to be keeping a record of this. No, this isn't related to you necessarily. This is the job that you said you were going to do for money is not being done. So if you're not doing your job, then I'm not going to do my half. And you do work, I do pay. You don't do work, I don't do pay. This is a very simple thing. That doesn't mean that person is a terrible, useless person. It doesn't mean that they are scum of the earth and we are playing God, deciding that that is their forever state. This is quite possibly one of the best things I've seen in the whole Bible on not judging people, because it puts it in terms of why can't we judge people? Why shouldn't we be, deciding who goes to heaven and who goes to hell? And why don't I get to do that when that's God's job? Because it's not loving, it's not kind, and it's not patient. It's jumping to this conclusion and then assuming that that is who they are forever. And I will say this is one that I find much easier than I think a lot of people do. I tend to come on that safety side, and I think I do come in a little bit too hot on that because I'm going, I need some evidence showing the alternate before I'm changing my views. But I don't hate them. And I think I can overstep on that, but I have a terrible memory. And I got to say, for anybody else out there with a terrible memory, this one should be the easiest for you because you forget what people have done to you. It's kind of helpful. But for everybody else, and like I said, I am not excluded. It just is easier in many lights because I forget. This is something that I would love to see, not just us, but this is something as a church that would be beautiful to see. That people fail and people struggle, and we can accept them where they're at, and we can love them where they're at, and we can bring them back into the church. We can bring them to God and understand that it's his job to do all the judgment stuff. It's his job to do all that. We can encourage people that are in unsafe environments to leave the environment, because that's not, God doesn't really, want you to be abused for fun. That's not how this works. How it does work is this love and being an example of this. So, with that said, I hope this helps out for everybody and we get a little better understanding of the fact that bringing up all these old things and continuing to hold them against people is not how we need to be doing things. But it is all right to be safe. It is all right to make a wise choice and to have discernment when it comes to people and situations, and to back off things that you don't need to be a part of, but not believe that that one instance makes that person terrible forever. Or even that it makes that person terrible, because frankly, I'm going to give that one to God. That's his judgment call, but it does often mean that I need to step out of that situation because it is going to turn me into a terrible person. I have done a lot of stupid stuff, and there are situations that if I remain in, I will go right back to those places. It's not safe for me. I need to exit. But that doesn't mean if I see someone at church who I know used to be an alcoholic, I know used to have a drug problem, I know used to be abusive, I know used to have problems, and they are genuinely 100% trying to turn their life around, oh, heck yeah. I'm all over it. Let's go. Get in here. It's hug time. Like, I am so excited that change is happening because they're not the person they once were. And that is super cool. So, if you haven't seen the rest of the series, check it out over here. Also, one of the latest over here for you. Have a wonderful week.